Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 8:05 here on the great WRKO, AM 680, and now on 93.7 HD2, 617-366-6868. All right, here's a story that's causing a tremendous amount of panic and hysteria across the country on news sites, newspapers, and in my own booth. Brittany and Cooksey, I swear to you, are completely panicked over this story. So you may say, what, Jeff, is this the bubonic plague? What's going on?
Panic's not the right word, Jeff. Brittany's panicked. She freaks out about everything.
Well, she's almost hyperventilating.
I'm prepared. I'm ready. I'm ready to put my preparation skills in motion.
You're nervous.
I'm not nervous. You should be nervous. You don't have a plan.
Brittany's practically hyperventilating back there. No, you're nervous. I can sense on you. You're white, you're pale, you're very nervous.
I just know what's coming. That's all.
All right, so what is this new pandemic that apparently has Brittany, Cooksey, and everybody all in an uproar? Apparently, there's something called Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, or otherwise known as MERS, M-E-R-S. It apparently is an illness that originated in Saudi Arabia, somewhere in the Middle East. And it's a respiratory illness. It begins with flu-like fever. You also develop a bit of a cough, but then it can lead to shortness of breath, pneumonia, and eventually death. A person from Indiana was diagnosed with it. Luckily, the person survived. However, there is no known vaccine or cure. That's what's got everybody so nervous. Hundreds of people have been infected in the Middle East. People are dropping like flies. And so the fear is it could spread here. Now, by the way, just as a very quick aside, that's why another reason why you control the borders. That's why we used to do it in this country, to prevent people from coming here with other strange illnesses. But let that go. So, getting back to MERS. There have now been 3 confirmed cases of MERS. And in particular, 2 Orlando health workers. This is getting very big in Florida after a person from Saudi Arabia who had MERS was admitted into the hospital. He then infected other people around him. So now there are 2 health workers at a hospital in Orlando who were exposed to this patient with MERS, and they have also begun showing flu-like symptoms. One of the 2 has now been hospitalized. Apparently, there are 22 other healthcare workers who were also in contact with this Saudi patient with MERS. They're now being under very close scrutiny and watch. So we have 3 confirmed cases of MERS in the United States. From this, the CDC is in a panic. Health and Human Services is in a panic. Brittany is in a panic. Cooksey is in a panic. The Drudge Report is in a panic. Associated Press is in a panic. And, call me crazy. Being in the news business for how long I've been, I've seen these kind of viruses come, and I've seen them go.
Yeah, but they've never come here like this. These people flew through Boston, correct?
Well, that's what Brittany says. Brittany says that it's on, okay. She says it's on the report. I don't see it on the report, but anyway,
I'll have Brittany pull it up for you.
He's going to have Brittany pull it up for me. But apparently, what I'm reading here from Fox News, I don't see Boston, but I'll just take Brittany's word for it. So apparently,
Well, hold on. How many confirmed cases in Orlando?
There have been 3 in the country.
3 in the country. Okay. Have you ever read The Stand by Stephen King?
No, I don't read Stephen King.
Okay, you should. Because that's how the end of the world starts.
I read literature, but let that go, Cooks.
Okay. You see, you insult my intelligence.
What is it? I just tell you, asked me Stephen King. I said, no, I read literature.
No, you laugh at me because I read half of The Stand by Stephen King because it's so long. But I'm prepared. See, in The Stand, there's a flu-like virus that spreads through the country. And it just starts with 2 people, Jeff. 2 people have it. He coughs on his hands. He gets on a train. Someone touches the germs, gets on a plane, travels to Boston. The whole country can be wiped out in a matter of months. But let that go, Jeff. You enjoy your time living in ignorance. I'll be in the woods eating squirrels, berries, and fish, living in a tent.
Well, I got news for you.
And I'll be a survivor.
I'll be honest with you. I feel safer here than in the woods, and I'll tell you why. Did you see all those ticks in the woods lately? A lot of Lyme's disease is going around.
Jeff, I'd rather have Lyme's disease than MERS. Number one. Number two, I have a huge stash of bottles of DEET. Just spray yourself, you're fine. Number three, all you gotta do is check yourself at the end of the day for ticks and just pull them off of you. They have to be lodged in you for like 24 hours. See, you're not prepped. That's the problem, Jeff.
The ticks make me nervous.
You're not prepped.
All right, so this is from Boston.com. A second person in the United States sickened with the respiratory illness, Middle East respiratory syndrome. See, that's why you need to keep bringing in all these illegal aliens. You see how they benefit us? See, that diversity, look at how it strengthens us. Because, you see, we never encountered MERS before. Isn't it great now that we're encountering MERS and people are going to die from MERS? Isn't that incredible? Such an culturally enriching experience. But let that go. So apparently, yes, they traveled through Boston last week. Oh, I didn't know.
So it could be here.
The infected healthcare worker, who is now in Florida, traveled from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia on May 1st, stopped in London, Boston, and Atlanta before arriving in Orlando, Florida. WCVB reported.
Okay, hold on. Okay, now you're getting nervous. Now you're reading the... Well, look at him. Here's the problem, Jeff. So this guy, or this person is on the plane, coughs, wipes the seat, lands at Logan. Jeff Kuhner's on the plane with him, touches the seat as he gets out. Now you have MERS on your hand. You walk out, you spread it through the entire terminal. Do you see how easily this gets passed around?
Yeah, but people wash their hands.
Come on. Jeff, be afraid, man.
Look, from 3 now, you're going to say, because you read you didn't even read the novel, you read half the novel. Do you even know how it ends?
Yeah, everyone's dead.
Oh, everyone's dead. Okay, so you read this horror novel.
No, that's not a horror. It's the truth. That's how the diseases and viruses spread.
Cooks, I'll be honest, I don't want to burst your bubble. I don't want to offend you or anything. But honestly, I think Stephen King sucks.
I'm not saying... this isn't a discussion on whether he's a good writer or not.
I'm just saying, I think his writing is frankly adolescent. It's like written at an 8th grade level. I've never liked what I've seen in the movies. I've never liked...
Okay, don't change the subject to Stephen King because you're too nervous now to talk about MERS.
No, I'm just saying. So from some third-rate horror writer, all of a sudden...
Whoa. Okay, take Stephen King out of the equation, okay?
MERS is going to kill all of us.
Hold on.
Cases.
How does the flu spread?
Well, through germs, through...
Oh, okay. See what I'm saying? Right. So, okay, Howie comes in tonight, he's sick, coughs on that microphone, he's sick. You come in tomorrow, you get the illness. You come in here, you give it to Brittany. Right. Brittany gives it to me. That happened like 4 weeks ago. What are you talking to me about?
Look, mentioning Howie, I got to be honest with you. That son of a gun. You know how many times he's gotten me sick the last couple of years?
Imagine if it was MERS.
That guy, I'm serious. I should sue him for how many times he's put me on a sick bed. I get flu after flu because of Howie. But let that go. Look, Cooks, I'll be honest with you. I think they're going to quarantine this. It's obvious. Saudi Arabia is on alert. The Europeans are on alert. People in Florida are on alert. I think we're going to quarantine this. I think this thing is going to die off, personally. I don't think this is the end, Cooks.
This is the end.
I don't believe this is the end of the world. Call me crazy.
Do you see all these viruses that are coming back? Measles?
Well, that's because people aren't taking their shots.
Jeff, but do you see how quickly it spreads?
See, this is why, look, I'm not a big fan of some vaccines, but I got to tell you, that's why you need to get vaccinated. Because we used to get rid of stuff like the measles. Now it's coming back because people aren't taking vaccines.
Yes, but it spreads.
Hold on. Did Noah get his measles vaccine?
He got all the vaccines.
Okay, there you go. Good job. Good job.
He didn't get a MERS vaccine, neither did you. There is no vaccine. Okay. There's no cure.
Cooks, all right, I hear you. But let me ask you this. What do you want to do now? Not come to work anymore because 3 people have MERS?
No, you have to continue going about your life, but you just have to be careful.
I mean, what do you want me to do? Wear latex gloves?
It's not going to help, Jeff.
I'm just saying, what do you want me to do? Wear some kind of a decontamination suit like I work at a nuclear power plant?
But be ready.
Okay, but how do you get prepared for MERS?
Are you prepared to go and live in the woods in a cave? Away from civilization?
No.
See, I am.
I'm not a woods guy.
Well, you're going to die.
Now, Cooks, you should tell everybody, Cooks is now he's basically become like the great white hunter.
Enlightened.
Cooks now, it's been about, what has it been, a month, Cooks?
I'm prepared.
He gets in these fads. If you remember last year, he was a big gourmet cook, chef.
I'm just saying you had to be prepped.
He watched Gordon Ramsay, a couple episodes of Hell's Kitchen. Well, now, what have you been watching?
Hold on a second. I like how you're continually changing the topic because you're too afraid to talk about MERS. So now you attack Stephen King, now you attack me. During the break, you were attacking Brittany.
No.
You're afraid to confront the issues.
No, I'm just saying there's...
Let's call MERS Obama. Now you'll talk about it.
No, I'm just saying 3 cases and suddenly it's the end of Western civilization. Comrade John, how you are, comrade? Do you have MERS, comrade?
No MERS yet, but I got some great squirrel recipes for Cootsie if he wants them.
He can't shoot one, comrade.
Listen, it says people with close contact, so just don't shop at 7-Elevens and White End pantries anymore.
No, I mean, Cooks, honestly, how do you want me to prepare for MERS? Wear a mask. He says wear a mask. Kathy, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on WRKO. Welcome.
Hi, Jeff. Love your show.
Oh, thank you, Kathy.
I just want to weigh in on this topic. Like books, you don't want Lyme disease. You don't want it. You don't want any disease for that matter. And today you need to be proactive with yourself as far as your health is concerned. And I've been seeing multiple doctors for a year now, and I finally convinced one doctor to put me back on medication for Lyme. And I've been in treatment for a year, and it is not fun. And I'm finally on the antibiotic that I should have been kept on initially, and I'm still in treatment for Lyme. So you don't want Lyme disease, number one. Number two, I believe Baylor University just did a study recently that said 1 in 20 people are misdiagnosed in the U.S., right? And that's every day. 1 in 20 are misdiagnosed. So I think you need to be proactive with your health. If you suspect anything that, you're feeling terrible, you have unknown symptoms, you need to see a doctor.
I'm with you.
Yeah, and hopefully with all of this, with the misdiagnosis and so forth, that the Pelletiers also prevail in their fight for their daughter, because I think bottom line is, I think that's my understanding is that she's been misdiagnosed.
That's
Again,
right. That's right.
It happens more frequently than you can think of. So I don't blame Cootsie for being nervous about this new virus. Just be aware of it, be aware of the symptoms, and just people pay attention.
Kathy, if you don't mind me asking, how did you get Lyme's disease?
Believe it or not, I do a lot of gardening. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and I started in the morning, and in the afternoon I went in to get cleaned up and so forth, and I noticed something on my left wrist, and it wouldn't come off. I was in the shower, and it just wouldn't come off, and I thought it was kind of odd. So I stepped out of the shower, looked in the light, and sure enough, there was a very small deer tick. I pulled it off, but I didn't have the mindset to put it aside, maybe to have it tested. And, Jeff, I was sick. I've been sick for 1 year, and I've seen so many doctors, and the tests keep coming back as negative. You have your false positives, you have your false negatives, and, boy, if you're not textbook, even when it comes to Lyme, if you are not textbook, boy, if that test comes back as negative and you keep complaining that you have different symptoms.
Kathy, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but did you get a blood test?
I did. Multiple, Jeff. I've wound up in the hospital because of the symptoms. It comes on as a flu initially, but your joints ache constantly. You're fatigued. And it's different for every person.
Really?
Every person suffers, with different symptoms. But I can't tell you the doctors that I have seen over the course of a year. And I finally found one doctor that I said, please put me back on the antibiotic that I was initially put on, only for 2 weeks. That was the mistake that my GP made. He only put me on the antibiotic for 2 weeks. I should have been on longer.
Yeah,
So
Cooksey said you should have been on it for at least a month. Kathy, do not hang up because Cooksey wants to talk to you, but I got to ask you something.
Yes.
What are some of the other symptoms of Lyme's? 'Cause you mean like joint pain and constant fatigue?
Joint pain like you wouldn't believe. I was bit. I still remember. It was April 2nd.
Okay.
April 2nd of 2013. I went to Vermont looking at colleges with my son. That weekend, I couldn't walk. My family had to hold me up. I had incredible joint pain in my knees, my ankles. The one symptom that has stayed with me for a year now is my left hip. It has settled. See, what it does is it settles into a major joint. It attacks your joints. So I've been having trouble with my left hip for a year now. And I was told that had I been placed on that medicine for a month's time, I shouldn't have suffered needlessly for a year. So Lyme is very, very serious. It is on the rise. I'm in Rhode Island. I see a lot of cases. There's a woman just recently in Rhode Island that passed away from it. She had severe complications from Lyme. She actually took her own life, I believe.
See, I'm near Kathy, I live near the Rhode Island border. I'm in the Rentham, North Attleboro area.
Yes.
Are you familiar with that area?
Oh no, I am. I'm in the northern part of Rhode Island. I'm actually in Cumberland.
Is that like a hotbed for Lyme's or?
Yes, it is. My neighbor next door also had it last summer. We have a lot of deer that, there's a lot of deer. It's not only on deer, though.
I know. I see those. I see them everywhere. They're on the roads. They're everywhere.
Oh yeah, no, there's a huge, there's been awful lot of deer, but it's not only on the deer, they're not only the carriers, it's also on field mice, it's in your grass, it's in your leaves. I'm looking into getting my yard sprayed for ticks and mosquitoes.
Kathy, I'm telling you, I'm doing that today when I get home. Because we have a very good friend, Amy, a good family friend. She has Lyme's. My editor at the worldtribune.com, his daughter has been battling Lyme's for over a year. So Kathy, believe me, I've heard horror stories. I sympathize. I know what you're going through. Please take care of yourself, Kathy, and don't be a stranger. Call back. Stay on the line. Cooksey wants to talk to you. 617-266-6868. We'll continue with this after this short break. Outbreak of MERS. Are you afraid? Also, Lyme's disease. Am I the only one, or am I noticing everybody's getting Lyme's now?
He's the Kuhner Man.
I read the Boston Globe, so you don't have to read the Boston Globe. You see what I do for you? You see the bullets I take for all of you out there?
Every weekday morning from 6 to 10 on WRKO.
Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 825 here on the great WRKO. Very rowdy, I don't know, it's a rowdy booth, rowdy listeners today. Apparently I'm not supposed to not like Stephen King. Apparently now people are very offended that I'm not a big fan of Stephen King. And Cooksey is defending the people who are upset at me for not liking Stephen King. I'm like, what, it's not a free country? I'm supposed to, I can't, what is this now, like the gay Gestapo? Wait, now the Stephen King Gestapo?
No, it wasn't that you don't like Stephen King. It's
what,
that
I'm supposed to like him now?
It's you turn your nose up like Jean-Francois as soon as, snob.
What do you mean? You said, what do you read? I said, I read literature.
Okay, whatever.
Well, I'm not supposed to read. Okay, no, I read Jackie Collins. Does that make it better for you now? Harlequin romance. Are you satisfied now?
No, we're all beneath you. I forgot. You went to McGill.
No, I like Russian literature.
You graduated from the finest Croatian universities.
See what I got to put up with? No, it's a crime now to like Russian literature now? I can't like Dostoevsky, Tolstoy? No, I can't enjoy that?
Dr. Zhivago?
617-266-6868. Steve, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hey, Jeff?
Hi, Steve.
Hey, this is Steven.
Hey,
not
Steve.
Stephen King.
I was a little worried there. I said, don't tell me he's calling me to give me grief as well.
Hey, I was just hearing about that Lyme disease, I've been checked for it, and I came out negative, but I had a lot of symptoms that go along with it. Especially it comes with tremors. And I live in southern Vermont, and when I looked at the CDC, the map of the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, we're in the hotbed. Massachusetts is big time for Lyme disease.
Really?
If you look on the map, you get down the Cape Cod area, it's just loaded with it. And I want you to understand something. That Lyme disease comes from the mouse, not the deer. They get to the mouse first.
Oh, you mean I thought I heard the mouth. I'm thinking, oh my God.
A mouse.
No, a mouse. I get a mouse.
A mouse.
So, it comes from a mouse, not the deer.
That's the first feed. That's where they're going to pick it up from. And there's a way you can get around it, Jeff. You can go to, there's a company down there in your neck of the woods. You can go to ticktubes.com.
Ticktubes. Hold on, I'm writing this down. Ticktubes.com.
T-I-C-K, tubes, T-U-B-E-S, .com.
.com.
And then you can get the tubes. You should strategically locate them. The mouse will get into those tubes, and it's safe for animals. It's safe for the environment. And when the tick gets on the mouse, it will die.
You mean the tick dies or the mouse dies? Okay, we lost them, but both die. Oh, you see, then I'll have PETA on my back. I'll have the libs on my back for that one. That's animal cruelty.
And anything, honestly, anything with fur or hair can carry a tick.
Oh, really?
I mean, a bird can pick up a tick.
You see, honestly, it's my sixth sense, but I've been nervous ever since. No, really, I get nervous because we've moved into our house, and it's very rustic, a lot of trees, it's rural, and I could sense the ticks are out there, looking, planning, plotting. I've got two little munchkins. I'm very sensitive.
All you do is check them.
What do you mean check them?
When they come in the house at the end of the day, when you go to give them a bath, or at least take off their clothes and check the legs down by the feet and make sure that, the deer ticks are so tiny you can't really see them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Some of these ticks are so small.
But you can feel them. If you rub your leg, you can feel a tick on you.
Really?
Yeah, because they stick butt out when they're eating. They're feeding on you.
Hold on. Now, have you never had limes, right, Cooks?
No, but I've had a tick.
You've had a tick, and how did you?
Yeah, but you just pull it off right away.
Oh, did you tell me you pulled out a knife or something, and like a Crocodile Dundee knife, and then you just kind of flicked the tick off with your knife?
No, the dog has had a tick or two on her.
But nothing related to you.
No.
See, Cooksy's become like the great white hunter now. He goes into the woods in the weekends. He hunts raccoons. He hunts squirrel. But you haven't really killed anything yet, right, Cooks?
No, I don't have to kill him.
But it's almost like the thrill of the hunt without actually killing him. And so he's been eating noodles and staying in the woods now.
All you got to do, if you go to the woods, right, there's one product that I use all the time. It's called Ben's DEET 100. It's like 100% or 99% DEET. And you just spray it on yourself. The ticks will literally fall off of you.
Like you're supposed to, every day or just when you go?
No, whenever you go out in the woods. It lasts for about 8 hours when you spray it on you.
It's 100% foolproof?
99.9% DEET.
That's not bad.
So the tick will get on you, and as soon as the tick crawls over the DEET, it'll just fall off of you.
Okay. Nah, listen,
Now, I'll just warn you that DEET is sort of what they used in Vietnam.
What do you mean?
When they destroyed the forests.
But it's Agent Orange?
Yeah, kinda.
So what do you say? What, I'm going to burn my skin with this? Or what, I'm going to get some...
No, you won't burn your skin.
What's Agent Orange? People... They don't get skin cancer, leukemia? Is that what do you...
Pick your poison. You want Lyme disease or skin cancer?
I'm going to spray him. No, I'm telling you, I'm just going to spray. I'm going to spray the hell out of my backyard. I'm going to carpet bomb it with whatever they spray it.
Noon Turf Care will take care of your yard. Don't they do that?
I got to ask them if they give me the tick special.
You need the tick special.
617-266-6868. Joe, Ed, Mark, Andrea, Brendan, hang on. We'll get to all of your calls, I promise, after this short news break. Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 8:38 here on the great WRKO. 617-266-6868 is the number.
You know something, Jeff?
Sure.
It's not just the deer tick that you have to worry about with Lyme disease. There's also the dogwood tick. They carry Rocky Mountain spotted fever. And there's another tick that carries something else I can't remember. There's a lot of different types of ticks that carry a lot of different... Only the deer tick carries Lyme disease, which just happens to be the smallest of all the ticks that you really can't see.
I'm getting nervous. Because
you should be.
It's text after text of people saying, yeah, no, honestly, it's the same thing. It's like Brittany says, I feel itchy, I feel fatigued. I don't know what this is, but I'm seeing all these texts, and everyone's got Lyme disease. I'm thinking, I must have it. I swear, look, I'm not kidding. It's been about a year now.
Oh, stop it.
No, I swear. My joints hurt. No, really, it's like I'm wondering what's wrong with me. My joints hurt. I feel tired. I don't feel I have the same energy like I used to have.
Now we're going to blame laziness on Lyme disease.
No, and sometimes I get a little feverish, then I don't get feverish. I may have Lyme.
Probably do.
It's just... And maybe they haven't been able to catch it with all the blood tests. I could be battling Lymes right now. Lyme, sorry, I shouldn't be saying Lymes because that offends people. Lyme, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's not called limes.
All right, 617...
I don't know why you're pluralizing it. Did they teach you that in your Russian literature? McGill University in Croatia?
617-266-6868. Andrea, you're up next. You're on RKO. Welcome.
Hi, I hope I'm going to help you all out, folks, but Lyme disease is one discussion, MERS is another discussion. I'm a nurse, and for 5 years I served in an emergency preparedness task force, and one of the things that we talked about a lot was the bird flu. So let me try and explain this, and hopefully I'm getting it right, and if I'm not, some doctor will call and say that I'm a jerk. MERS it's a virus, it's respiratory, and it's a droplet infection, which means I'm standing around breathing. I leave the room, and everybody who comes in around where I was breathing is breathing in when I just breathed out. But here's what happens, and here's why this is scary. First of all, 1 out of 3 people who develop MERS will die from it. There is no treatment for it. It is not a bacteria. Therefore, you cannot treat it with antibiotics. So all we do for people, or all we can do, is, quote, supportive care. What does that mean? That means hydration, IV fluids. That means if somebody has it really severe, that they might need to go on a ventilator or a respirator temporarily until they either recover or die. But here's the problem. You get it, say, now we have it in Florida, and a couple of workers in that hospital got it. Now let us say that a whole bunch more people get MERS from that hospital, or people walking in and out of that hospital. How many ventilators and respirators do people think each hospital has? So ultimately, if there are a half a dozen of them, then you start to triage, and triage means you decide who do you think is going to live and who do you think is going to die. If you have a 90-year-old with MERS and a 15-year-old with MERS, you don't treat the 90-year-old. The 90-year-old automatically goes into the we can't help them pile, because you're thinking about who it is that you can't save. Then it gets out. Other people get it, and you go to the supermarket, but there's no food on the shelf because the truck drivers are sick. And then you get enough healthcare workers who get sick, and healthcare workers, there either aren't enough healthcare workers, or the healthcare workers who are still healthy are so frightened because they have their own families that they refuse to go to work. And eventually, now let's say you have to go in and fill a prescription. Now, if you're on any kind of health insurance, you know that you can usually only get 30 days of a prescription, or if you mail away, you can get 90 days. So you can't stockpile prescription stuff in the house so that you could, quote, shelter in place, as our governor, it's going to be okay, always says. So what you can have a pretty big collapse of society for a long time, from something like MERS or SARS or Ebola is a little different, but if you wanted to rent the movie Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman, this will give you a little bit of an idea about what I've been saying. But when you're talking about bird flu, which is what we've been talking about in Southeast Asia, and basically I saw a video strip on it. You get one person who gets on an airplane, in this case it was in a Southeast Asian country, and they go to London. 200 people on the airplane. All 200 people go to different places. So out of those 200 people, they could all have been in some way exposed. Not everybody will get it, but some people will. And they take it all around the country. So what we're not understanding, I have a political message here, Jeff. What we're not understanding in this country is if we got a couple cases of MERS now, and it's come from Saudi Arabia, and we know where that plane came from, I would shut down air travel from that country.
Oh, but we won't do that, because they're from Saudi Arabia. You see, and that's my point. Look, I swear, God is my witness. Brittany brought in some hand sanitizer as you were talking. I got chest tightness. My chest was tightening just listening to you. No, I saw that movie. It wasn't Dustin Hoffman. It was another one. It was made a couple years ago. Oh, I forget what it was called, but it was basically how a disease spreads. It starts in East Asia. They showed it. It spreads. Outbreak. And it just spreads and spreads and spreads. It was almost like a docudrama. And look, I know SARS killed a lot of people, especially up in Canada. It was devastating. So God forbid, I don't want us to have another incident with MERS. But you see, that's why you watch and control who comes into your country. You don't just allow anybody to just come on in, because you don't know the disease. Never mind the crime, the criminality, never mind all of that. You know, murderers, rapists, kidnappers, because you're not vetting them. They could be having diseases. That's why you don't just bring in anybody into any country. So hopefully we'll be able to isolate this thing and not have too many more people suffer from MERS. Because I'll tell you right now, the last thing I need is MERS. I need MERS like I need a hole in the head. 617-266-6868. Ed, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on WRKO. Go ahead, Ed.
Good morning, Jeff. And you have a good reason to be uncomfortable about Lyme disease. I've had it, and I'm very interested in health. I've played around with health for 30 years, and it knocked me over to such a degree I had trouble walking. I initially started off with a temperature of approximately 104.
Oh, my God.
I dropped it back quickly because I knew what to take in health. I got it down to about 100. And I dealt with it for a couple of days because I don't take medication. When I finally decided to go to the emergency, I went to Newton Wellesley. They weren't even sure what it was at the time. So I had to wait for the blood test. And I found out it was Lyme disease. And it was extremely uncomfortable. So I started taking the doxycycline, which is what they give you. And I took a double dose because when I read the directions, it seemed to suggest, at the first day it said take 2. It makes your stomach almost boil because it's very uncomfortable. It's a strong antibiotic. And in fact, it's the same thing they give to dogs. In fact, they only have one medication, and that's doxycycline for getting rid of it. The only problem is they're not sure, and I am adverse of taking any medication. I do not like to take it, but I was in such pain, I did take it. And the other thing, when the doctor saw me, he did a spinal tap on me because he wanted to know how long I had it. And eventually gets into your spinal column, and it will cause brain damage.
Oh, my God.
Lyme disease will cause brain damage. In fact, I've talked to a couple of other people that were older that had tests because they had cancer. They were doing blood tests. And I didn't know this until years later. And I got rid of it, and there's a way of getting rid of it also, along with the doxycycline. My friend was dying of cancer, and they did a test on his blood looking for other things at the beginning, and they asked him, did you ever have Lyme disease? And he said, absolutely not. He never had Lyme disease, but he did have syphilis. The disease, syphilis and Lyme, are identical. In fact, it may be the same identical strain from what I've heard and what they interpreted on the blood test. And he had that years ago, but the remnants of it still showed up in his body.
Hold on. So, Ed, I didn't know this. So basically, you think Lyme's is almost a type or a variant of syphilis?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
And it does make sense. And Al Capone, he went mad because he had syphilis untreated.
That's incredible. That's just, you know what, with my luck, honestly, Ed, with my luck, I'll get Lyme. I swear to you, they'll misdiagnose it as syphilis. My wife will be thinking I was cheating on her, having an affair. I swear. My wife is very jealous. She's Italian. She's very jealous, very possessive. Before you know it, I'm sick like a dog. I've got brain disease. My wife's going to leave me with the kids, thinking I fooled around with some prostitute or something, and I got syphilis. That's all I need right now. 849 on WRKO, 617-266-6868. More with your calls next. Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 854 here on AM 680 WRKO. Marianne, you're up next. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Hey, Jeff, your talk radio wife missed you.
Hey, Marianne, how have you been? I haven't heard from you in a while, Marianne.
Excellent. I'm a crazy activist. I just wanted to let your citizens know, calling all citizens, that Operation American Spring is happening in Washington this Friday. I don't recommend taking an airplane. I would drive, but that being said, Obamacare is just a fraction of the reason why citizens need to stand up. And we're not talking Republicans and Democrats anymore, Jeff. We're talking United States American citizens. We can't take this anymore. It's an outrage. Why hasn't anybody brought up the thought that this could be biological warfare right from the terrorists? Just, infect someone and send them to an airport. Here we go. Have you ever thought of that? No one's even raised it because, of course, it's poo-poo. It's not politically correct. But, this is a quiet way to get us. And we need to defend ourselves. We need to close the borders. Obamacare is one thing. Immigration is another. All of the representatives we've sent to Washington have failed us. We need to throw them out in 2014 so that there will be no Hillary come 2016. Thank you,
Thank you for that call, Marianne. I never even thought about it. But if you wanted to wage biological warfare, this is the way to do it. Get somebody from Saudi Arabia, whatever, send them to the United States, you infect them with MERS, and before you know it, they're on the plane, they're in the hospital. I mean, so Brittany's saying don't give him ideas. Okay, forget I said that. Just forget I said that. Is it Eileen? Elaine? Okay, boy, Brittany, who spelled that? But
that was Cooksey. That was not me.
Elaine, welcome.
No, it wasn't.
Welcome to RKO.
Hi, Jeff. Listen, I'm an herbalist, and I've been researching tick and flea repellent. And there's a Brazilian rainforest product, an herb called Andiroba. A is in apple, N is in November, D is in David. Andiroba, and that repels ticks and fleas and mosquitoes, and you can put it on yourself and animals.
And you're saying, Elaine, it works?
Yeah.
Thank you for that call. You can also use what, Cooks? Promethean? Listen, I got to get boned up on this because my area is a tick-heavy area. And with my luck, if I don't have it, I'm going to get Lyme. Brenda, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on RKO. Welcome.
Good morning, Jeff. My father, who is the tough guy, came in the house and said to me, you need to go get the starter fluid for my snowblower and bring it in here. And I'm like, what? He had a tick on him. Can you hear me, Jeff?
Yes, I hear. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes. No, I didn't know you were there. Thank you. And I was stunned. I'm like, what's going on? So he showed me the tick, and he's handicapped. This is why I had to do it for him. And I sprayed it with engine starter fluid. The tick passed out and fell off. And I said, oh, my goodness, this is $1 million idea. So I went to a pest control person, and we examined the possibilities, and it's totally against any kind of government regulation to package something like that for human use. But it's the farmer's remedy. If you go online and you look it up, that's what it's called. People have used it forever. And the best part of it is when you do try to remove a tick, it regurgitates. When it regurgitates, the worst of the worst comes out of its gut, and that's how people get infected, pets, etc.
Now, Brenda, apparently Cooksey says that tweezers work too.
You don't want to assault the tick.
You don't want to. What happens? The tick gets angry, or
the tick will regurgitate. It will vomit its guts into you, and this is the best way to remove a tick, bar none. Not using a match, not doing any of those other methods. There's even a little spoon that they pass out in Maine. I own a home in Maine, and the tick control guy that I met in Maine had a government-granted study. Dutch white clover planted in your yard will also repel ticks naturally. They use it on horse farms. They use it on farms all over Maine. Dutch white clover.
Dutch white clover.
Yep.
Brenda?
I don't know a lot about all this stuff. It's pretty fascinating. But
Brenda, thank you so much. I'm just taking notes as all of you are talking. Now, apparently, the movie wasn't Outbreak. The movie was, this is from 774. That was the movie I saw. I watched the movie Contagion. This is about a virus outbreak. Yes, that's the one I saw, and is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. Oh, no, I hear you, 774. That was the docudrama I saw a couple years ago in the theater. Matt Damon starred in it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he wasn't that good. He's never that good, but let that go. The movie itself was actually pretty good. And it shows you how these things spread. And God forbid, I hope we don't have something with MERS. Who do we have back on here? Hello? Comrade John or Jeff? John. Comrade John, how you are, comrade?
Wunderbar. Couple other tricks, Jeff. Now, that lady's trick might work, but I've been outdoors my whole life, all right?
Okay.
You smother the tick with gasoline, it can't breathe and suffocates, it comes off. A deer tick has to be on you for 12 to 24 hours before you can get Lyme disease. Okay, the other thing is, you're out in the woods, when you get home, immediately throw your clothes in the dryer for 10 to 15 minutes. The heat will kill them, okay? Now, get back to the mares. The head tick of the state of all, he's going over to the Middle East, isn't he?
Well, you think he's going to get it there, comrade?
Yeah, he's going to Israel, so maybe now we have a reason to keep him there.
I gotta go, my friends. 9 o'clock here on the great WRKO. Much more to come. Don't touch that dial.
News at the top and bottom, talk in between.
Executing assigned host duties flawlessly because I can't do wrong.
This is AM 680 WRKO, Boston.
Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 9:05 here on AM 680 WRKO and now on 93.7 HD2, 617-266-6868. Things are heating up, my friends, in Nigeria. They're going from bad to worse. And Boko Haram, now sensing the impotence of the West, sensing the growing impotence and weakness of the government in Nigeria, has now on Monday released a video by its diabolical leader, Abu Bakr Sheku. This is basically Al-Qaeda in Nigeria. They're a radical Islamist terrorist group in which they have paraded the over 220 Nigerian Christian schoolgirls that they have kidnapped before a camera. And as he parades these young girls, many of them 11, 12, 13 years of age, shouting Allahu Akbar, he now says that he wants to do a prisoner swap. He wants to trade the hostages for terrorist Islamist prisoners being held in Nigeria's jails. He is now vowing that the girls will be massacred and slaughtered if there is any serious rescue attempt. And according to reporters who are in Nigeria, it appears that Boko Haram has now separated the girls into groups, into clusters. So if you try and attempt to rescue one set of girls or one group, they have orders to massacre all the other girls. They've also threatened that if they see any possible rescue attempt having started or being launched, they will kill the girls immediately. And so now they want a trade. They want their fellow brethren, as they call them, fellow terrorists, and their relatives who have been sitting in Nigerian prisons and jails. They want them released. They want one hostage exchanged for one terrorist released from prison. So basically 220 terrorists, Al-Qaeda Islamist terrorists, for 220 girls. They're deadly serious. They know they have the Nigerian government by the tonsils on this. The world is impotent. The Nigerian government is impotent. And the question I have for Boko Haram is this. Are you not on Twitter? Do you not see what's trending with Michelle Obama with her silly face with that sign Hashtag bring back our girls. Haven't you heard that their leader and his wife, Marxist Muchel, they want the girls back? Didn't you get the memo, Boko Haram? Don't you see that their leader wants the girls back? Michelle wants the girls back. How come you're not giving the girls back? And just to show you because we need reminding. Oh, you think with the Boston Marathon bombings we wouldn't need reminding, but we do need constant reminding of what these Muslim extremists are capable of and what they do everywhere they go. It's like a cancer that just keeps spreading and spreading. So here are some of the people that they want to free, okay, in exchange for these innocent Christian schoolgirls. These are some of their brethren that they want to be rescued. One of them is a senior militant, a Muslim militant. He's in a Nigerian jail. His name is Kabiru Sokoto, who was sentenced to life with hard labor last year for masterminding the bombing of a Christian church outside Abuja that killed 44 people on Christmas Day in 2011. So on Christmas Day, while all of us are celebrating the birth of Jesus, the Prince of Peace, he masterminded a terrorist assault, and they've been doing this all over Nigeria, whereby they slaughtered 44 people and bombed a church. Oh, look at the peace. You see how peaceful they are? Even on Christian holy days, nothing is sacred to them. Even on Christian holy days, it doesn't prevent them from slaughtering young women and children. 44 dead just on that day alone. Apparently, another group of Boko Haram suspects is a gang accused of the kidnapping and killing of a person by the name of Chris McManus, a 28-year-old British engineer who was abducted along with an Italian colleague, Franco Lamolinara, in northern Nigeria in May of 2011. The pair were killed by their captors during a rescue attempt 10 months later when Nigerian forces and British special forces in a joint maneuver tried to rescue them. And their throats were cut from ear to ear. Look at the peace. Look how peaceful they are. The religion of peace. Look at the peace. Look at the peace. Tell me, how many imams do you see condemning them? How many Muslim clerics do you see condemning them? And you want to know what is most galling here? You want to know what is frankly, truly disgusting here? Is that the very same liberals, the very same radical secular progressives who manufactured that trumped up phony war on women to get the dear leader reelected. You see, because the real war on women is not being run or being waged by the likes of Boko Haram or Al-Qaeda or Hezbollah or all these other radical Muslim groups. No. Not according to the radical left in America. It's the Republican Party. It's Mitt Romney. You see, when he gives women $250,000 a year jobs, when he says, give me a binder with your resume in it and a picture, that's a war on women. No, we can't have a guy going around giving women jobs, but asking for a little binder. That's opposing free birth control. No. That's a war on, that's a real war on women. That's slavery. That's the Middle Ages. Sandra Fluck wants her spermicide jellies and her free birth control pills. Now we're talking hardcore misogyny here. This is sexism. But when it comes to these radical Islamist animals, nothing. They don't even lift a finger. Zero. Nothing. It is absolutely shameful. And throughout Hillary Clinton's tenure as Secretary of State, The State Department repeatedly urged Hillary, put Boko Haram on the terrorist watch list. Eric with Holder, said to Hillary, put them on the terrorist list. Human rights groups from all over the world begged Hillary, put them on the terrorist list. Because if you put them on the terror list, what does that mean? That means you're able to give the Nigerian government, which is predominantly a Christian government, more assistance and more tools to wage the war against radical Islam in their midst in Nigeria. And what was her answer? Throughout her entire tenure as Secretary of State, the supposed champion of women, this supposed champion of women's rights, this supposed defender against the evil Republicans with their war on women. Niet. 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 Thumbs down. And so for 4 years, as we refused to put them on this terror list, because of Hillary Clinton, Boko Haram ran wild. They burned down churches, they bombed churches, they slaughtered Christians, they destroyed non-fundamentalist Muslim villages. They committed atrocity after atrocity after atrocity. And the reason why Hillary Clinton would not lift a finger to even put them on the terrorist list was because, and we know this, and nobody has the guts to say it, because in Nigeria, the government was a predominantly Christian government. And nothing would anger the Saudis more. Nothing would anger our paymasters more. Nothing would violate liberal sensibilities more than for us to be backing a Christian government in Nigeria as it tried to stamp out a rising Islamist insurgency. And so now, as they basically control large swaths of northern Nigeria, as now with 220 girls maybe likely facing either beheading or outright or slaughter and murder and rape, with many of them being sold off potentially into slavery or as brides for $12 a head. Now we're sending in U.S. personnel. Now we're sending law enforcement personnel when it's too late. McManiac, that lunatic, having learned nothing from Iraq, having learned nothing from risking World War III in Syria, now McManiac, Senator John McCain, comes out. He never met a war he didn't like. Now he's talking about sending in U.S. Special Forces. What does he think? This is the Wild West? You send in the cavalry and all of a sudden they're going to be rescued? This is some kind of a Western? A Western movie with Clint Eastwood? You shoot up the place and everybody comes home rescued and saved? There's a brilliant piece in today's Daily Telegraph. Again, you want to find out what's happening, you have to read the British press, because the American press are so in the tank for this regime, they cover up for all of its crimes. Frankly, it's not even worth reading anymore. And the British, who've tried sending in their special forces, who've tried to rescue people in the past, what are they saying? You're going to lead to their slaughter. You see, the problem is we allowed them to be captured in the first place. Now they have them. The moment you move, the moment they hear somebody's moving, these are ruthless, diabolical, satanic killers. They will murder these girls without blinking or batting an eye. When we could have put them on the terror list, when we could have given Nigeria all of the tools and weapons that they would needed to be able to root out this evil insurgency, this evil terrorist group, that's when we needed Hillary Clinton to step up. To all these feminists out there, shame on you. Shame on you. Because of your sycophantic support for this woman, very likely 220 Nigerian girls are going to be slaughtered simply for the crime of being women and simply for the crime of being Christian. And yet you stand silent when your own supposed champion, your own supposed avatar, your own supposed leader, Hillary Clinton, not only stood by and did nothing as her husband sexually assaulted woman after woman, but then when she was the Secretary of State, wouldn't lift a finger to even designate this evil terrorist group on our terror watch list. And you hear these libs running around the country saying Hillary's tested, Hillary's proven, Hillary's going to be a decisive leader, Hillary in 2016. So why? We can have 1,000 Nigeria cases like this of Boko Haram's raping, kidnapping, and slaughtering women? Here is my challenge to any liberal in this state and in this country. It's an open challenge. Name me one single accomplishment, real accomplishment. I don't mean flying 1,000 miles in the sky. I don't mean racking up air miles. Name me one single accomplishment of Madam Hillary when she was Secretary of State. I dare you. Name me one. 617-266-6868 is the number. My friends, should the Nigerian government trade Islamist terrorist prisoners for those 220 girls? And ultimately, do you blame Hillary Clinton for Boko Haram's rise in Nigeria? Has she betrayed the women of Nigeria as well? 617-266-6868. All of your calls next. Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 925 here on the great WRKO. You can text us at 680-680. This is one of the very good texts, getting a lot of them, but here's one of them. This is from 508. Jeff, they don't put Boko Haram on the terrorist list, but the Nigerian government has been cut off from the West, and their president, their government are unwelcome in Washington and London because they have a law signed in January 2014 that banned gay sex and same-sex marriage. I know. You see, kidnapping and raping young girls, no problem. But God forbid if you're a Christian government that bans same-sex marriage? No. You're not welcome in our club. That's the real liberal hypocrisy. 617-266-6868 is the number. Paul, you're up next on WRKO, and welcome.
Jeff, talk about the cowardice of the Democratic Party. Here we have Muslim countries. Now, they always say it's only a small percentage that actually engages in this violent, brutal behavior. But what about the rest of them that sit back silently and don't step up and try to police their own because they're incapable of it? So whether people want to wake up and face reality, we are at war with the Muslims of the world. And until they start to respect women and be more tolerant of homosexual behavior, which I'm not necessarily trying to promote. We see how that's carried away in this country here. So maybe some of the Muslims are saying Western education, which wants their daughters to be whores and they're meant to be homosexuals, maybe that's how the Muslims are saying that's why America is evil and Europe is, which obviously is an extreme view. But that's how the mind control starts at a young age, and that's why you have countries like Nigeria, which has all kinds of oil money, but their government's so corrupt, and everybody glorifies how great Africa, a continent, is. The place is upside down. And look at the way Muslim countries treat women and children, with nothing but disdain. So all the hypocrites in America who badmouth the Judeo-Christian way, of the American way, of putting women up on a pedestal and looking at children as gifts from God. They make fun of that. Shame on Hillary and all these women who were talking about the war on women. The war on women is abuse of men, and the most abusive men in the world. Sad to say, we did have the Catholic sex scandal here throughout the world, but the most abusive men that I see are Muslim men, and look at the way they treat women as just sex objects, and children, they just have them with as many women as they can with their harems. That's it for me.
Thank you for that call, Paul. 617-266-6868. No. It's Mitt Romney. The war on women. What are you Islam have a war on women? No. It's that Mormon Mitt Romney or whoever else the Republicans nominate. No. Those are the real sexists and misogynists. Either liberals are lying to themselves and everybody, or they literally are the most ignorant people on earth. Take your pick. Either you're a lying hypocrite, or you're an utter ignoramus. Because how you cannot see radical Islam and its vile treatment of homosexuals, of minorities, of Jews, of women, you name it, is beyond me. Frank, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on WRKO. Shoot, Frank.
Hey, I think that what we need to do is let every one of those terrorists out for all those girls, and embed some homing devices in them or in their apparel or whatever, and just track wherever they go. That might be one of the best tools for us to be able to identify.
Frank, I got to be honest with you. I generally do not like to negotiate with terrorists. However, I don't want these girls to be massacred. The Nigerian government is swimming in oil money. If I were in the Nigerian government, I'd say, all right, you guys want $12 a head? We'll give you $100 a head. Here's a couple $1,000, whatever it is, 10, 20, whatever it is, $10,000, $20,000, and give us the girls. Here's the ransom, here's the money, give us the girls. Now, I understand you say, Jeff, that may encourage more kidnapping in the future. Well, you free the girls, and then you get really tough in the war on terror. But ultimately, this is not our business. This is for the Nigerian people and the Nigerian government to decide, to get involved with. Now McManiac wants to send in special forces? First of all, it's going to lead to a bloodbath. Almost all the girls are going to be massacred. So you're just going to have more dead. That's number one. Number two, what if Americans start getting killed? And then we send in more troops. And before you know it, we have another Vietnam, except this time it's in northern Nigeria. Have we learned nothing over the last 40, 50 years? 617-266-6868 is the number. Coming up next, Warren Buffett. You're not going to believe how much money he has spent over the last 11 years promoting abortion. That shocking story coming right up after the short news break. Let's take it to Angela in the newsroom. Quick reminder, my friends, we made the official announcement today in the second hour. Not this Saturday, but next Saturday. Saturday, May 24th, Kuhner Country, the Kuhner Report, yours truly, will be organizing a huge rally for Justina Pelletier, Free Justina. It will be at the State House from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. The Pelletier family will be there in support. I need as many of you to come out as possible. I want to bring a huge crowd to bring maximum pressure on Mini-Me, DCF, Health and Human Services, and have them finally release Justina so she can go home to be with her family. And the reason why we've chosen May 24th is it also happens to be Justina's 16th birthday. She's asked repeatedly to be home by her 16th birthday. She's now been held essentially hostage for 15 months by the government of Massachusetts. Public pressure is growing. There's more national, international focus on this case. They've now sent her to Connecticut. They think we're going to back off. We're not going to relent. And I need all of you to bring as many friends, family members, colleagues that you can bring out to that rally next Saturday, not this Saturday, following Saturday, the May 24th, at the State House in front of the steps of the state capitol from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. I will be speaking, so will other members of the Pelletier family. Let's give Justina the best birthday gift she can possibly get, to be out of the clutches of DCF and home where she belongs with her family. Now, you want to talk about someone with a vile, anti-family, pro-death, anti-life agenda. I never want to hear another left-wing progressive or liberal Democrat ever complain to me about the Koch brothers ever again. You can't watch MS Left BC or listen to a speech by Dirty Harry Reid or Nancy the Piranha Pelosi or the Dear Leader without them at least once mentioning the evil Koch brothers. Why are they evil? Because they give money to causes that are dear to their hearts. They give money to Republican candidates, Tea Party candidates, and libertarian institutes and think tanks. Oh, can you believe it? A billionaire that gives money to causes that he believes in. The evil Koch brothers. They never say anything about George Soros. They never say anything about that environmentalist wacko green billionaire out in California. And they certainly say nothing about Warren Buffett, who's becoming this man is becoming the merchant of death. And so as the liberal media lionize the liberal billionaire, call him the Oracle from Omaha, the reality is something very different and much more ghastly and much more evil. Yesterday marked the 1 year anniversary, whatever you want to call it, 1 year, since Philadelphia abortionist and mass murderer Dr. Kermit Gosnell was convicted of first-degree murder in the deaths of 3 babies who were delivered alive and then killed with scissors. He ran a death camp. There's no other way to put it. It was an abortion death camp where in filthy, vile conditions, dirty conditions, he committed one illegal abortion after another. Many of the children were in fact born alive. And then with either a sledgehammer, a knife, or scissors, killed them. It was plain and utter infanticide. And as the liberal media desperately tries to cover up the atrocities committed by abortionists like Dr. Kermit Gosnell all across this country, who do you think has been abortion's #1 financier? You guessed it, Warren Buffett. And so from 2001 till 2012, these are the records that we now know, according to Fox News, hat tip to them, over 11 years, Warren Buffett has donated, check this out, over $1.2 billion to pro-abortion organizations like NARAL, like Planned Parenthood, abortion clinics all across the United States. If you actually tally up the numbers, I kid you not, $1.2 billion paid for 2.7 million, almost 3 million first trimester abortions. That means, in the first 3 months. This man bankrolled the murder of 3 million babies. That's your legacy? That's what you do with your money? I'm not talking about the Koch brothers. Notice with the left, because they want to give money to some libertarian think tank or some Tea Party nonprofit, for limited government, lower taxes, less regulation, a greater free market or more free enterprise. This man is literally bankrolling the slaughter and murder of children, of babies in the womb. And so I was just thinking, Warren, I mean, you know, the magic number has always been 6 million. That was the Holocaust. That's always the number that you judge somebody by the depths of their evil, by the depths of their commitment. Hitler did 6 million Jews. Warren, you got another 11 years left in you, buddy. You want to plunk another 1.2 billion. You can go, you can double it. Warren, I would say go for it. Go for the magic 6 mil. Hitler had 6 million Jews. You can have 6 million unborn babies. And you can be the true Führer of the liberal movement in the United States of America. This is unconscionable. And this man stands there. I want you to think about how the culture of death in the age of insanity. He's lionized. He's glorified. He's put on a pedestal. The dear leader does events with him. The dear leader praises him. CNN is begging for an interview. CNBC is begging for an interview. The Clintons have them on their private cell phone. He's in their Rolodex. He's in their contact list. They call him up, and they're thrilled when he picks up the phone. This man who's bankrolled the mass murder of over nearly 3 million unborn babies? This is the man that we celebrate? This is the rot, the corruption at the heart of the modern liberal regime. And he's not embarrassed? My friends, I've said it before and I will say it again. Abortion is the slavery of our time. The liberals think they're so enlightened and they're so progressive and they're forward-looking. They're not. They're regressive. They're primitive. Just like the slaveholders denied the humanity of an entire category or class of people, that's what the liberals have done with unborn children. You just call them fetuses, you rename them, and you basically say they have no human rights. Slaughter them, they're not human. Slaughter them. And in the end, we are now approaching in this country, since Roe v. Wade, 55 million unborn babies have been slaughtered in the womb. That's more than the total number of people who died in World War II. God is my witness. That's more than a number of people slaughtered and butchered by Stalin, by Hitler. Have we no fear of God? Have we no fear of any kind of basic justice or civilized morality? Where we butcher so many children? Unthinkingly, unflinchingly? Without even a hint of guilt or remorse? This is a cancer. It is a moral stain upon our nation. And just like slavery ate away at the foundations of our republic, my friends, this mass infanticide will do the same thing unless we turn things around. To Warren Buffett, welcome to the Mass Murderer Club. You've earned it, my friend. 2.7 million and counting. 617-266-6868 is the number. Warren Buffett, $1.2 billion for abortion clinics. What do you make of that? I want to hear from you, Boston. 617-266-6868. All of your calls next.
You're at work listening on mind-numbing music stations. Feed your brain.
I'm self-employed. I listen to talk radio all the time.
AM 680, WRKO.
Welcome back to the Kuhner Report, 9:55 here on the great WRKO. Frankly, this is not even my point. This is the brilliant audience. I've been getting text after text, all making the same point in a different way. Notice the comparison between Warren Buffett and Donald Sterling. Both in their early 80s. One guy basically subsidizes the mass murder of unborn children. Nearly 3 million. Spent $1.2 billion. That's about 2.7 million children. Unborn babies. Dead. Finished. Finito. Donald Sterling, couple of racist remarks in a private conversation, which, by the way, was illegally taped. They want to throw him out of the NBA. The guy's basically a pariah. So if you finance the murder of babies, you're a hero. You say a few racist things in the privacy of your own home, you're a pariah. That's liberalism in a nutshell. 617-266-6868. Lines are blazing. Tom, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks. I'll come to Warren Buffett in a second, but I love the theme of your show today. Woodticks, Democrats, and jihadists. You know, they're all bloodsuckers. But there's something sinister going on here between the Democrat Party and the jihadists. They're too cozy. And I wish there was some way we could follow the money. You know, very specifically. I bet you if you open the roof of that Clinton corruption library down in Arkansas, you would see so much cash that's come from these jihadists and the Muslim Brotherhood, et cetera, to influence the American government, to place people in key strategic positions, and to influence the media. Because why would these blood-sucking Democrats cozy up with the jihadists if it wasn't going to help them in their efforts to overthrow America? It's just absolutely insane. And coming over to Warren Buffett, This guy, everybody bills him to be the greatest genius investor on the planet. But, you know, he's a crony capitalist. He's got all these inside deals. He gets preferred stock in Bank of America and gets a higher percentage interest than anybody else. The Burlington Northern deal was an inside sweetheart deal with the government. He has a pipeline directly into the Treasury, and he knows what's going to happen before anybody else and places his bet before anybody else. In return for that, he's killing and murdering people with the subsidization of Planned Parenthood. It's just insane how these people work.
Thank you for that call, Tom. He's an oligarch. See, there's no difference anymore between us and Russia. They have oligarchs, we have oligarchs. And Warren Buffett is one of the big liberal oligarchs. So he kills babies, that's what they do. That's the way Warren likes to spend his money. Brenda, you're up next. Thanks for holding. You're on RKO, and welcome.
Welcome back, Jeff.
Thanks.
I've always said this about abortion. Abortion is the greatest hate crime. They want to do a lot of talk about hate crime. It is the greatest hate crime. And the liberals operate off of the spirit of intellectualism. That is actually biblical. They have a lot of head knowledge, and even their head knowledge is incorrect, but they don't have a heart. They do a lot of parading around about how they're compassionate about this and that. Tell that to an unborn child that's squirming away from the scissors or whatever vile instrument that they're inserting into a woman's womb.
Brenda, very well said. Brittany, can I squeeze in one more caller? Dave, I got a minute. Go.
How you doing, Jeff?
Hey, Dave, I got a minute. Go, my friend.
Yeah. Warren Buffett should have a new name. He's no longer the Oracle of Omaha. He is now the Dr. Kadarian, right, of Unborn?
The Dr. Kevorkian. I love it, Dave. I love it. You just coined a new one, my friend. I gotta go. Be back tomorrow, same time, same place. And my friends, remember, together, we're beating liberals one day at a time.